G'day, Ziggy D here, and welcome back to Monday Musings, the show where I like to ramble for 10 to 15 minutes, often more, and occasionally you guys get something interesting out of it. So, last night on stream, someone asked me how I got to be a full-time YouTuber and streamer. Often this sort of question comes up, and I actually went on like a full binge of telling the entire story in detail, and I thought, it's Monday, maybe you guys would like to hear hopefully a more concise version of this, and my whole reason for wanting to share this story with you guys is hopefully that it inspires some of you to chase the things you're passionate about, or maybe give you a bit of an idea about how someone can go about finding the thing they're passionate about. Because that is the real question, isn't it? How do we actually figure out what we're passionate about? For some people, it ends up being easy. For some people, we're a bit lucky in that regard. We try something early on, and maybe we decide we're extremely passionate about being a doctor, and we go and pursue that, and it's quite easy. But there's, I think, a lot of us, and probably more of us out there, who really don't know what the hell we're passionate about. And I was definitely in that position. So let's go all the way back to the start, approximately 5 years ago. Towards the end of school and towards the beginning of university, I was working a retail job. I was working a pretty good retail job. I was working with Target Australia. I was working in the shop, and I had some pretty good times, like serving customers, helping people find things, and I got a fair bit out of that work. Moving into university, I was studying marketing and management, and I pretty much always had the idea when I was younger that I really wanted to be like a manager of a retail store, following in my father's footsteps, I guess, because he had managed a few different retail businesses over time. And it's kind of funny because halfway through sort of his life as well, halfway through his career, he realized that that was not what he wanted to be doing, and he later found his passion, which is now working in psychology. He's studied psychology and is now helping like families and things like that, which has been a big inspiration for me as well. But I was working in retail and, you know, studying up, and I did my marketing management degree, got through that, but probably about a year or two into my degree, and at this point I was working in a warehouse, a distribution center for Target, like stacking pallets and all that jazz, just earning money to do university. I realized that it really wasn't for me. I think over time I've come to realize more and more that working for a boss, or working not for something for myself, so not building something for myself, isn't something that I can do in this life. I got more and more depressed, basically, and it hit a low point. I remember probably the lowest point was sometime, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I was standing in an aisle somewhere, you know, trying to, you know, evade the glances of, you know, my employees and my boss and that, and I was just standing there with my head against a wall, and I just stood there for 15 minutes with my head against the wall, and I realized that I was actually incredibly depressed, and I kind of hadn't really realized it. I wasn't really sort of pursuing anything. I didn't have the answer at that point either. However, there's something else happening in my life around this time, which was inspiring me, and it was gaming. I had just bought StarCraft 2 at some point around then, and I had like a crappy little Mac laptop that I bought to do my university studies on, and I could barely play any games. It was a 13-inch MacBook Pro, not really suited for gaming, but I knew that Blizzard made Mac-friendly games, and I'd played heaps of Warcraft 2 and heaps of Warcraft 3 back in the day, and I'd played a little bit of StarCraft on the Nintendo 64, but I thought, I'll give this a go. This game looks pretty good. It had just come out a couple days, you know, it was a couple days after release, so I picked it up. I started playing it, and I was really bad, right in the bottom of bronze, in what we know as, affectionately as, the Wood League, the Wood Leagues of StarCraft, so I was really bad. But the more I started watching and reading, and I spent hours each day watching videos and reading forums, and, you know, just talking to people in the SEA community and the StarCraft community in general, and I discovered more and more that how much depth this game hidden below the surface. This wasn't just like, you know, back in the day playing some Warcraft, chopping trees, having a bit of fun with it. There was so much more to this game to discover when I scratched below the surface, and I got really hooked into this idea. And as I was learning these things, I was I was progressing. Eventually I managed to work myself out of bronze and into silver, which is quite the feat. Bronze is like the bottom 50% of players, so even just getting yourself out of bronze is quite the task. But I was getting this real reward from this, like this real sense of challenge. Like, this is a hard game. This is extremely difficult. I'm playing against other players. There's exceptionally complex mechanics in this game. And there's this whole process of learning and refining and practicing and, improving your mechanics and improving your knowledge and unlocking all these little key bits of information. I thought, wow, gaming has so much more to it than I had thought in the past. Like, I always loved gaming. I've played games since I was extremely young, but I never really realized how much more it could be, how deep games could be, and just how rewarding they could be. And over time, I eventually managed to work myself all the way up into Masters in the SEA. I think actually Masters in US servers. Anyway, I managed to work myself up into one of the highest leagues, all the way from down to the bottom. And this whole journey was exceptionally rewarding. Now, in the process of doing this, so just working on something that I was passionate about, even though obviously it wasn't earning me money or anything like that, it was just gaming in the end, I needed some sort of outlet for this. I had this thing in my head. I had all these thoughts flying around in my head like crazy. I needed some sort of outlet. So I started a little website called learningsc2.com, which is still up. You guys can check it out, as a way of just sharing some of my learning experiences with people. So at this point, I had really come to grow to love the process of learning more so than ever before. Like, I had enjoyed learning things in the past. I reasonably enjoyed school and university and the stuff I learnt in it. But what I really discovered was that I really loved self-directed learning. And this is something that's actually been like a theme for my life the entire time. I would always find something I'd be interested in, and I'd go binge on learning about it as much as possible. And Learning SC2 became this sort of outlet for this learning. I wanted to share what I discovered with other people to help people like myself previously who had been struggling. So I started writing articles on Learning SC2. I spent hours writing each article. I probably did like 1 or 2 a week, maybe, if that. And it took a long time to write each article. And I would start to get a couple messages here and there, a couple comments, and I'd see people talking about articles saying they really helped them, like get past things or really help them enjoy the game or realize how much more to certain aspects of the game there was. And this was really rewarding. Through this, I started to not only love the process of learning, but also grow to love the process of teaching as well. Like, find that learning can be very rewarding, but also teaching can be extremely rewarding as well. So this unlocked these two passions. Now, I did have like AdSense going on the site, trying to help support, the hosting costs and all that, but I never really had the mindset of this would be able to earn me a living. I'm sure it crossed my mind. I thought it'd be great to earn a living because I saw that there was people like Day9 and stuff, who was also a big influence to me, earning a living doing StarCraft and things like that. I thought there's a possibility there, but I don't ever see that happening for me. And indeed it wasn't. But I just kept doing it because it was a passion. And as that started happening, I started to get more and more sort of opportunities. More things started opening up as I worked really hard on one particular thing. And this'll be the core theme of today's video as well. This idea of doing things leads to other things. But anyway, eventually Amy suggested to me that I make some YouTube videos. She had a friend making YouTube videos, and I said, I don't think YouTube's really for me. I think I'm more about writing. I remember actually saying, I don't think YouTube, it doesn't seem like me. So I was pretty hesitant. But she must have eventually convinced me, because I did end up making a couple StarCraft videos. Nothing much really happened with those, but I did discover that the comments and views and stuff like that and the messages I got were really immediate from YouTube. When you're writing written content, generally it takes quite a long time for any sort of feedback to come, if ever. It's like people aren't as engaged in it. But especially when you're just sort of on one random website on the internet that people might not ever even see. But on YouTube, such a big platform and such a interactive and almost as close to live as you can get with interacting with people. You put up a video, within an hour someone might post a comment on it. And that was really rewarding. So there was this real immediacy to what I was doing. So not only was I learning and teaching, I was learning a whole new thing as well, this idea of making YouTube videos, how to go about that, but also this real immediacy of feedback, this immediate feedback loop, which was really satisfying as well. Nothing really happened out of it. Nothing really happened out of the StarCraft videos. But later, Diablo 3 was going to be launching. And Diablo 3 was a game I was pretty excited about, but because I'd also been doing this learning of StarCraft and writing of StarCraft and making a couple StarCraft videos, I thought, want to try my hand at a new game for this. You know, I'm going to try my hand at Diablo. So I remember I made a couple videos in the lead up to launch and around the launch of Diablo 3, one of which was like, the Blizzard had this character calculator up on the website before the game was even launched, and you could play around with builds. And I theory crafted out some builds and made some videos on that and showed people how you might be able to make builds in the game. And that got a lot of attention for the time. I can't remember how much it was, probably like 1,000 views or something. But it was like a lot more attention than I'd been getting in the past. And then I started making a few more Diablo videos, and I started getting like real nice feedback for them and helping people out. Like I made something about, you know, informational sort of videos, helping people with specific problems. And the things I'd learnt from writing were really applying very well to the YouTube side of things, and those started to get quite a bit of attention. Now, around the same time, I was also working on some other written content. I was thinking about maybe I can earn a few extra dollars here and there writing, and that will, you know, mean I have to work a little bit less maybe, so that I can focus on the things I'm more passionate about. So I started writing on AdSense revenue sharing sites. I had a profile on a site called InfoBarrel, which is basically where you write a bunch of articles, and some of the ad revenue from those articles will go to you. It gets shared with you, essentially. Now, I was earning almost nothing off that. It was like a couple dollars. Nothing really actually happened out of that directly. But again, this theme of opportunities coming out of working on something hard. I worked really hard on those articles. I put, I don't know how many articles, like 100, 150 articles up on there, and some really high quality ones that I put really a lot of effort into as well. And other people on the site started noticing that. They started noticing the quality of my articles. And I actually started to get some offers for freelance writing work. Like they said, you write really good articles. Would you like to write some articles for me for some upfront pay? And I was like, yeah, I'd like to do that. So I did a bit of that, and that worked pretty well. Like I was earning a little bit of extra. I was making a bit of an impact on the budget. And out of that, I also started doing some more freelancing. I signed up for like a freelancing site, did some work there. It was absolutely mind-numbing work. It was atrocious. It was worse than my normal job that I've been working. You know, for me, it was worse than that. But I was still doing something. I still tried to do the best I could with it, and it started earning a little bit of money as well. So around that point, when YouTube had started to earn a couple dollars I started to earn a couple dollars on YouTube, and from the writing and all these little, you know, couple dollars here and there. It was a very small amount, guys. Don't get me wrong, very small amounts. But I started to see something here. So some of my Diablo videos I'd made, I thought, you know, these weren't that great by today's standards, but I thought, you know, I can do better. I can make better videos than this. And if a video of this quality makes $10 with this amount of views, what happens if I make 10 more videos of better quality than that? I start to see in my head how the scalability existed. How if you have some measure of small success, if you earn $1 doing something you love, then can you do more of that? Can you do more of that and do it better? Can you become known for doing that really well? And I was starting to see this in a lot of different areas of my life, in the writing I was doing for StarCraft and just my own personal writing, the freelance writing I was doing, and the YouTube side of things. I started to see a lot of correlation between this idea of just putting your absolute all into something that you're really passionate about, and even when it doesn't earn you all that much money, still doing it because of these other opportunities it leads to, and then starting to get this idea of scalability. So it was about that time that I made a very difficult decision, and this decision was supported by my lovely girlfriend Amy, who has been like a phenomenal support throughout these years and through some pretty rough times as well, in terms of, you know, not having much income to pay the bills or buy food and stuff like that. I made the decision to stop my normal work. Now, I was making not quite enough to cover my end of the bills and stuff like that. But I talked to her, I planned it out for myself. I really like calculated out everything and like showed for myself, like as truthfully as possible, if this was possible for me to stop working. And we made that plunge, and it was definitely some shaky times there. There's plenty of 2-minute noodles times there for sure. But I made the decision that I absolutely have to do things for myself now. I absolutely have to break out and become, you know, build something for myself, create value as much as I can. And we started doing that, and it did start to progress. It was a very slow process over the past 2 years. This has been growing up. So it was about 2 years ago that I decided that I really wanted to commit to this YouTube and writing sort of thing. So what I did was, I took up a lot more freelance work. I did a lot more freelance work, even though it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. It was buying me time. It was allowing me to not do my normal full-time work. You know, I sort of finished studying around that time, so I started doing as much freelance work as possible. Freelance writing, I did some freelance web design, I did some like social media consulting, all of the things I'd learned from my various activities on writing and YouTube. I put them together and presented them to people and said, I can help you reach your success. And you know, maybe you can help me support, you know, what I want to do, buy me some time. And we also at the same time thought a lot about how we can budget better, how we can cut things out. If you can, like the idea is that you can cut away some of your debts, if you can cut away some of your financial obligations, like pay less rent, go to a cheaper house to pay less rent, even live with family if you can, you know, buy less fancy food, make lots of homemade food, forgo alcohol, cigarettes, stuff like that, quit smoking, trying to, whatever you can do, like maybe we don't need a new TV, you know? Maybe we don't need to put some more stuff on the credit card, cutting out all of this stuff. So sacrificing some things in your life that you do enjoy, but to buy yourself time. And this was a big theme over the next 2 years, buying myself a lot of time, buying us a lot of time to work on this. So this, by doing so, I was able to just do enough freelance work to keep us going. And in every other moment of my spare time, I was working on, like, the thing that had really grown to become my passion was YouTube videos in that time. I started making at least a YouTube video every day, maybe 5 to 7 a week, 5 to 7 videos a week, and working as hard as possible on those as I could. I started making a lot of Diablo videos, started making a lot of Path of Exile videos. Now, in the, sort of in the side of all of this stuff happening, I was starting to get some recognition for all of my efforts. I did some podcasts on, I did a bit of a Diablo podcast, and one of the people that I'd met through doing that had seen like how much work I was putting into all this and how analytical I was being towards my work as well. And they actually offered me a very, very good job offer, a very high paying, you know, job offer, moving into the city, and then, you know, potentially a big shift. And so that was a really good opportunity. However, I had this passion that I wanted to follow, so I did turn him down. But it's a good example of how working on these things that aren't necessarily earning you a living, like doing a podcast and, you know, just making extra videos about my video making process and my YouTubing career and stuff like that, and just really working on this stuff led to other opportunities. So there's a lot of merit in really, really working hard on things that you're passionate about, or even if you're not exactly sure you're passionate about. And like, sort of to cut it a bit shorter, over time it did grow and grow and grow. Eventually I was able to start dropping away some freelance work as YouTube grew, you know, more and more potent, as I was earning more income off YouTube. I was able to drop some freelance writing, some freelance design, until eventually, sometime last year, I was able to say, I'm not doing any freelance work whatsoever, and hopefully I never have to do any again. And since that time, I have managed to not do any freelance work. I've been YouTubing. We moved to another house to start live streaming, and this has all been a really big sort of push up, and it's been going pretty well so far. So it's been a really amazing journey overall. Like, there's still a long way to go, and there are still definitely times where the ad revenue from YouTube goes down, or it's like, you know, it's January, everyone's spent all their money on Christmas and no one's paying for ads and stuff like that, so the income goes down, and there's definitely some shaky points, but it is exceptionally rewarding to be working, you know, for myself now, and to be creating something out of nothing, essentially providing value to my viewers, providing value to the people, you know, who want to serve ads to my viewers, just creating sort of value out of thin air. It feels really, really good and really, really rewarding. So I'm absolutely like in love with what I'm doing now. But the real point that I want you guys to take away from this, if you take anything away from it, is this idea of finding your passion is a process of trying a lot of things, doing a lot of things as best you can. I never thought my, you know, my full-time thing would be writing, or maybe I did for a certain time, but I wasn't sure, you know, I had no way of knowing whether it would earn any money. When I was writing on sites like InfoBarrel or writing for Learning Seek 2, I had no way of earning, you know, no way of knowing if I'd earn any money from that, no way of knowing if that was going to be my end goal. Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? I don't know. but I still did it as much as I could, and I still did it as best as I could. And everything, when I look back over my career so far, over the past 2 years, over the past 5 years, I see how everything I did led into something else. Picking up StarCraft and playing it and learning about as much as I could led into writing about StarCraft. Writing about StarCraft led into writing about other things. Writing about other things led into freelance work. That freelance work bought me time, and also writing about StarCraft led into YouTube. And then the YouTube stuff and the freelance stuff sort of tied into each other. One bought me time to be able to do the other. Working really hard on YouTube eventually became my passion. You know, making content, streaming, YouTubing, that eventually became my passion. And it all started just because I started working really hard on StarCraft, something that I felt was really interesting, something that I felt compelled to do. So, I think if you guys have something that you enjoy in this life at the moment, and I think there's always going to be something that you really enjoy. There's always going to be things you have to do. You will have to keep doing those things you have to do. You will have to keep working that job that just pays the bills. But I'm sure there is something in your life right now that you guys can work on, that you guys can get something out of, that you guys can really try. Even if it's not the thing that you think will earn you a living, even if it never leads to anything else. That's this process of like improving yourself, practicing something, becoming good at something, just working on something in general is going to lead to other things. So even if writing for me hadn't led to YouTubing and all that other stuff, even if all these things hadn't followed on, I would have still gotten a lot of personal experience from this writing and from like learning StarCraft and stuff like that. It could have just stopped at learning sc2.com, but nothing else might have come out of that. But all of the stuff that I learnt from writing that, I had discovered, like at the very least I had discovered that I had a passion for learning and teaching. Who knows, from that day I might have discovered then that maybe I want to change my university degree, maybe I want to become a teacher. I could see how that could have happened in an alternate universe. There's always going to be something good that comes out of you applying yourself really hard to something and really working on something that you're interested in. So explore, guys. Life is about exploring and trying hard and trying to create as much value as you can wherever you can. So that's what I want you guys to take away from this. I don't know, hopefully it made some sense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little ramble. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Ziggy D, and thanks for watching.